think it's maybe better today. I think another David's going to show up, and that's the anthologist. So, because we will be presenting poems and talking about the poems from the World of Change, which is the anthology I've written. So, you know, I don't want to do a bait and switch or whatever, but that's what I'll be talking about today. And of course, you know, and thank you, Waits, thank you. World of Change, it is an anthology that has writers from around the country and the world. But 2/3 of the writers in this anthology are from Northern California. And about 1/3 of them are from Sonoma County. And you know, I just want to say that I love Sonoma County, and I love living in Sonoma County. And I truly believe that Sonoma County writers can stand with the best writers from anywhere around the world. Yeah. And as the editor of this anthology, I did do a lot of hard work, that's true. But an anthology is only as good as the contributions that the editor receives. And so I want to thank you, Gore. I want to thank you, Vilma, Jim, Margot, David. You know, the other contributors, you gave me some of your best work for this anthology, and I'm grateful. And another thing about the anthology I want to say, too, is that it is poetry, and it is people writing and talking about poetry. Now, it is activist poetry or poetry of witness, political poetry. You can call it different things. And you know, I think there's a spectrum really. You got activism here, you've got poetry here. I think most poets are, you know, we're somewhere in between on that spectrum. You know, and we may lean one way or the other. You know, some of us are more activists, some of us are more pure writers. And you know, we're not at the same place on that spectrum throughout our lives. You know, sometimes we're more activists, other times we're more writers. But all I want to say about that is, you know, be true to yourself and follow your heart. You know, if your heart is telling you march, march. If your heart is telling you write, write. Because, you know, we need all of it. We need all of it. And actually, I don't think there's anything more revolutionary than a poem, because every time a poem is written, you're inviting the reader to see the world in a new way. So what could be more revolutionary than that? And then another thing about this anthology too is that it is not only that it's local and homegrown, it is organic. And by that I mean that it really has come out of these readings. It's come out of the Third Sunday Salon. It's come out of other readings here in the county and in the Bay Area. I mean, it was 2009 that I was hearing a lot of good poetry here and elsewhere in the county and around. And I wanted to publish it. And so I sent out the call 2010, and that was my first anthology I published. In January 2011, Continent of Light. You know, and I asked people, you know, to bring your cause to the table. What's happening in the world today that you think we should be focused on, and that's touched your heart, that you want to write a poem, and that you want us to pay attention to. And you know, I was thinking about that, and you know, in a way, I was just reflecting what you guys do all the time, because that's what you do at these readings. You bring the poems that are about the issues that are speaking most to your heart, and you share them all the time. So in a way, by inviting you to submit a poem like that to an anthology, I'm just asking you to do what you already do all the time. And of course, Continent of Light, like I say, was published January 2011, and then 3 years later we published World of Change, the sequel, in January 2014. So it's local, it's homegrown, it's organic. And I was reading something the other day by a writer called Bette Williams. She's a poet, it's a memoir. And something she said in the book really struck me. Name of her memoir is The Wrestling Party. She said, community is not friendship. Community is not friendship. And you know, I thought about that, And it's true. I mean, just because we have a writers community, it doesn't mean we're all going to be friends. Speaking for myself, no matter how hard I try, I'm just not going to be friends with everybody. Or not friends with everybody all the time. But, you have that, and then there's another quote I have on community, and I don't have the exact quote, but a paraphrase of something that M. Scott Peck said about community. He said, you can say whatever you want about community, but it is not a real, thriving, living community unless the people involved are truly interconnected and interdependent upon one another. The people, you got to be connected and related and have a real life, connection and consequences. And so what happens to Vilma? It affects me. And what happens to Margot? Affects Jim. We're interconnected. There are real-time consequences. And that's at the heart, of this or any true community. So, yeah, community may not be friendship, but you're not going to have a real, true community unless you have friendship at the very core of it. And, when I think about an example of that, honestly, one of the best examples I can think of is the Healdsburg Literary Guild. You've been doing this for almost 2 decades. Third Sunday Salon. Writers come from here, from all around. You make people feel appreciated. You make us feel welcome. You have your annual events, your Valentine's Day reading, your Memorial Day graveside readings. You have your publications. You have your raffles. You do a great job of promoting this event. I mean, Facebook, website, YouTube, emails. You get the word out into the papers. Great flyers that you do up. I'll be happy to include this flyer in my scrapbook. I know some people may say that's community. I say it's friendship. And thank you. Thank you. And another thing about this book is that this is a book. It's not an e-book. It's not a CD. It's not anything else. It's a book.
Well, that's what they look like.
Yeah. And so I want to defend the book. I defend the book, but I think the best way to defend the book is to publish a good book like this. And a book that has a poem like this in it by Jim Marks, who is a South Bay writer, but who did present here, not too long ago.
Yes, right.
He wrote this. It's a fact that none of us are really that black. If we walk through a city park, that same dog will bark. All of us want a pleasing thrill and to shift gears uphill. Isn't it a fact that none of us are really that black? So what is there to life that doesn't deal with living? And what is there to taking that doesn't deal with giving? Most all of us believe in some kind of fate. And in our solitary confinement, we learn to cope with hate. In every heart, there is some pain, and every race and color plays the same old game. Do you know it's a fact that none of us are really that black? Beneath our cold, bloody skin, no one may understand our conflictedness. But when the pinwheel enters the center of our heart, we all got the same sickness. We search for a description to translate our desire and try to select the right mate to smother our fire. Don't you see, it's a fact that none of us are really that black. I wonder somehow if I can make you understand. Now, just turn over your hand if you can. Think of the weakness of every man. It's all created by a master plan that no one really owns this land. Stolen, leased, borrowed, bought, it remains a universe where nations have fought. Let our Mexican brother, who also has to fight, stand up for his right. And our Indian brother, this country was stolen from, can't go into town at night. Our Asian brother. We can't always pronounce his name, so we say he's strange. Can't you see it's a fact that none of us are really that black? I might pass a white man shopping in a store, and in his mind he might think, I won't come here anymore. But somewhere in the hills or in the street, we'll meet someplace, and we'll have the same unfriendly looks on our faces. And meanwhile, across town, a black brother is down and doesn't agree because he's trying to be blacker than me. Let's pretend that we're all gold, but don't feel the same, but we got the same blood in our veins. Tell me, doesn't anybody know what color is pain? So isn't it a fact that not one of us are really that black? Jim Marks.